You've asked yourself this 100 times. Why am I always broke? And every time your brain hands you an answer. I don't make enough money. I had bad luck. I wasn't taught this stuff growing up. Maybe the economy is just rigged against people like me. Here's the problem. Every one of those answers is true enough to feel right, and useless enough to keep you exactly where you are. You can believe all of them and still be broke next year. That should tell you something. The question itself might be the trap. Before we get into it, if you're into the psychology side of money, the behavioral stuff nobody really teaches you, hit subscribe now. We post 2 new videos every week, and this channel is built around questions like the one we're about to break down. Why am I always broke feels like the obvious question to ask. It's the one everyone asks. Type it into YouTube, and you'll find 1,000 videos answering it, each one offering a slightly different villain. Capitalism, inflation, your parents, your degree, your generation. But a question is just a frame. And the frame you choose decides what kind of answer you're allowed to find. Ask a bad question, and you'll get a technically true, completely useless answer every single time. Ask, why am I broke? And your brain doesn't go looking for a pattern. It goes looking for a cause, a reason, something to point to. Bad job market, rising prices, bad parents, bad luck. Something external, something that lets you off the hook because the brain is not built to torture itself voluntarily. And the moment you find a reason that feels true, you stop looking. Because the brain treats a satisfying explanation the same way it treats a solved problem. Case closed. Except nothing got solved. You just stopped feeling bad about not solving it. The reframe. Here's the wrong question, side by side with the right one. Wrong question. Why am I broke? That question is backward-looking. It sends you digging through your past for a cause. Something that happened to you, something you were or weren't taught. Something that explains your situation without requiring you to do anything differently today. Right question. What decision did I make in the last 24 hours that moved money away from my goals? That question is forward-looking. It's not interested in blame. It's interested in a single, specific, repeatable pattern you can actually see and actually change. This isn't a small wording difference. Behavioral economists have a name for part of what's happening here. It's called hyperbolic discounting. Your brain values a reward right now far more than the exact same reward later, even when the math clearly says it shouldn't. $1 today feels disproportionately better than $2 a year from now, even though 2 is objectively more. So when you ask, why am I broke? Your brain doesn't dig into your spending pattern from yesterday, because that would require sitting with discomfort. It reaches for the nearest, most emotionally satisfying explanation instead, because that's faster and far less painful than confronting an actual decision you made with your own hands on your own phone 12 hours ago. Why questions invite excuses? What questions invite evidence? And evidence is the only thing that's ever actually changed anyone's financial life. The deeper mechanism. There's a second reason why am I broke fails you, and it's a little harder to see. It assumes broke is a state of being. Something you are, like a personality trait. Not something you're doing, like a behavior you could stop tomorrow. Researchers in behavioral finance describe this as part of your money script, an unconscious belief about money that runs in the background of basically every financial decision you make. Most of these scripts get installed before you're even 10 years old, usually by watching how the adults around you talked about money, fought about money, or avoided talking about it altogether. If your money script says, people like me don't get ahead, then why am I broke isn't actually a real question to your brain. It's a confirmation request. You're not investigating your situation with curiosity. You're collecting evidence for a belief you already hold and have held for years, maybe decades. That's why the same answer keeps showing up no matter how many times you ask it, no matter how many late-night journaling sessions or YouTube videos you watch about it. You're not running a search for truth. You're running a loop, and loops don't resolve themselves just because you've noticed you're in one. The right questions. So if why am I always broke is the wrong question, what are the right ones? Here are 4 that actually move you somewhere. Question 1. What did I spend money on this week that I can't actually remember spending it on? This one exposes invisible leaks, the subscriptions you forgot you signed up for, the convenience purchases, The small, repeated decisions that never feel like decisions because they happen on autopilot. Most people aren't broke because of one disaster purchase. They're broke because of 40 small ones they can't even recall. Question 2. What financial decision did I avoid making this month? Avoidance is one of the most expensive habits in personal finance, and almost nobody names it as a cost. Not opening the bill, not checking the account balance, not picking an actual number to save or pay down. The decisions you avoid don't disappear. They just quietly compound somewhere you've trained yourself not to look. Question 3. Whose financial habits did I absorb growing up, and am I still running them on autopilot? This is the money script question, made specific. Most people aren't actually managing their finances day to day. They're managing a belief system about money that they inherited from someone else, never examined, and never updated for the life they're actually living now. Question 4. If I had to explain my last big purchase out loud to someone I genuinely respect, would my explanation hold up? This isn't about guilt or shame. It's a fast, honest way to separate decisions driven by real values from decisions driven by impulse, boredom, or the need to look a certain way to other people. Notice something about all 4 of these. None of them ask why. All of them produce something specific you can act on by tomorrow morning, not something you have to mull over for another 6 months. The takeaway: why am I always broke isn't a useless question because it's wrong to ask out loud. It's useless because it's structured in a way that can never actually change anything, even when it's answered honestly. It sends you hunting for a cause buried in your past, when what you actually need is a pattern you can interrupt in your present. The people who genuinely change their financial trajectory are almost never the ones who finally figured out why they were broke. They're the ones who got tired of asking why and started asking what instead. What am I doing right now, today, in this specific moment, that I could do differently tomorrow? If this reframed something for you, the next video in this series breaks down exactly why your brain is wired to keep you broke in the first place. The deeper mechanics behind everything we touched on today. Subscribe if you want more of these. 2 new videos every week.